guys, welcome back. Today I'm testing a new light modifier that I just recently got from my studio. This is it. It's called the Optical Spot by Westcott and Lindsay Adler. Originally, I got this for my portrait photography. Lindsay Adler is an amazing portrait photographer. I've been following her. She's a great instructor, and she created this very unique light modifier that I was really interested in trying. I was debating for a while if I should get it because I knew this was gonna be more like a toy, something that's sitting on my shelves for a long time, and I would break it out every once in a while. But little did I know, ever since I got it, I've not stopped using it. And today I want to test it with products because I had this idea that I want to create this really moody, textured, beautiful afternoon sunlight imitation with these products. And I thought that this light modifier could actually help me achieve that look. Now, the key thing here is that I don't want to make it look like it was shot in a studio. I want to make it look like if it was shot in a room where the afternoon sunlight is just shining through the windows, and that's not easy to achieve with regular studio lights. So I'm hoping that with the help of this guy here today, I can achieve that look. So follow me and I'll show you how I'll do it. So about the light setup and the product setup. Here are my products on my backdrop. I chose Aesop to work with. It's a very earthy, natural, moody aesthetic that Aesop has. So I'm trying to kind of recreate that or create something that is similar to that. That is why I have some clay and some other natural elements as props. So that's the products. Now about the lighting, I have one light. This is gonna be my key light on the left, which is shooting through this giant screen that you can see here. And it's shooting through towards the product, and it's going to bounce back off of this white card on the right-hand side to fill in some shadows on the right. Now, it might be that I need to fill in shadows a little bit more than just using that card. So I have a second light placed here as fill light, and this is shooting towards that white wall area that you see behind me. And that's gonna give me this huge light modifier bouncing all that light back onto my products, but in a very soft way. So that's gonna be my base layer of light. And the reason I'm bouncing these lights off of the white cards is because I want this light to be really soft. I want to avoid the flashy look. That's the point. And then my key light modifier here, the star of the show today, is the Optical Spot, which is gonna be placed somewhere behind me, far away from the products. And I'm gonna use these little gobo discs to create texture on my product. And I'll show you how I do that. But first, what I wanna do is to start building up my light layer by layer. One light first, second light second if I need it, and then the texture. So let's get to it. So first things first, I'm going to take a test shot and see what that one light gives me on the left. So let's see, whatever power setting it is on, I'm going to use that. And that's a pretty good base. I think I want just a touch brighter for now. So I'm going to add a little power and take another test shot. And that's kind of where I want it to be for now. One thing I want to see do I want to fill in the shadows more on the right-hand side? Because I see these shadows on the right-hand side of the product, which I don't mind. I think it kind of goes with the moody feel that I want to go for. But just to see what it would look like with a little bit of fill light, I'm going to turn on this flash behind me, which is going to shoot into the white wall. And it's right now on a pretty high setting. So I'm going to just start somewhere with the power settings and see what it gives me. Let's see. And I kicked my camera, so I have to recenter it. I have to be very careful when I stand up so that I don't bump into my camera all the time, which is a constant challenge for me. Okay, let's see. So, recentering. Perfect. That's good enough. So, I'm going to go back to my original settings and stop the live view so that I can test it again. Okay, one more time. So I can definitely see that this extra light has filled in the shadows, which I like. However, I want this whole picture to be moodier. So what I'm gonna do now, I like the fact that the shadows are filled, but I wanna take my exposure down a little bit further. So just so that I don't have to change my settings too much with the lights, I'm going to just jump back to ISO 100 from 160 and see what that gives me. And yes, that's darker, that's moodier, that's kind of there where I want it to be. So now the key part of this whole idea will be the texture on the image. The texture that will look like there's some plants or there's some trees outside my home where the sunlight shines through and projects that beautiful texture and shadow on my product. So this is where the optical spot comes into the picture. So what I'm gonna do is to go to my table and select some gobo discs and see which one works best for this setup. So the gobo disc is the texture element. I've prepared these 4 discs that I liked for this look. There are a few discs that come by default with the package that you buy when you buy the Westcott optical spot, and there's an extra expansion pack you can buy. There's actually 2 different expansion packs. I bought the one that has more natural elements to it, like these palm leaves and all kinds of plants and leaves. So I've selected these 4, and I think I'm gonna try the first one. It has this tree-like texture. So what I'm gonna do is place the little gobo disc inside the plate, and this is what I'm going to insert into the light. So first things first, turning on my light. And before I place the gobo into it, I just remembered that I actually have to turn it upside down because this unit kind of flips the images. It's almost like a mirror effect. So if I want the tree texture to be on my image as it normally would be, I have to turn it upside down. So turning it upside down. And for those who want to see the Lindsay Adler video where she goes really detailed into what this is and how it works, I'm going to put the link in the description. So gobo plate goes in front of the light and in between the light and the lens, and you want to make sure that all of these leaves are pulled out so it's open and nothing comes in the way of your light. So now let's see what this projects on my image. You can see now that as I move my light around, if I loosen it up and move it, I can tell where exactly the shadow or the pattern will fall on my image. And I can move it until I like what I see. With product photography, obviously what you want to make sure is that you can see the labels, you can read the labels. And I'm going to leave it there because I know I'm going to still tweak it. There's 2 things that you can really modify about this. First, how sharp those edges you'd like to be. If you prefer sharp edges, all you need to do is you start turning the lens and it's going to start sharpening the edges around your texture or your shadows. Now, I personally don't like this look for what I'm going for here because it doesn't look natural, it's fake looking to me. So I'm going to turn the lens into the opposite direction where I can kind of see it's some kind of tree or plant, but the shadows are nice and soft, it looks natural, it looks believable. The other thing that you can change is the size of the projection. The closer I get to my product, the smaller the projection becomes. And if that's what the look you're going for again, I think there can be like really, really cool images that you can create with this. But the look I'm going for is something more natural and believable. Remember the window light and the afternoon sun. So I'm going to make sure that I pull the light further away from my products, and I'm going to also tilt the light up a little bit because I can see the edges of my gobo discs, which I don't want, and pull it out a little more. Now, I think this is a great demonstration in general of what the Gobo discs do, but there was a reason why I chose different discs to try. For instance, I can already tell that I'm kind of struggling with finding an area of this disc where all of my labels are readable. So I'm going to take a test shot just so that we can see what this looks like. But I have a feeling that this is not the disc that I'm going to select for the final image. So what I'm gonna do is to take a test shot with this one and then change it out to the next one and start testing them and see which one I like the best for the look that I'm going for. So I'm going to go back from my live view. And then take a test. I might have to tweak the light settings, of course. But first I want to see, and my lights need to wake up, everybody. Now. Okay, so we can see the shadows, but they are very, very subtle. I'd like the shadows to be a little more present on the image, and I want the overall image to be moodier. So what I'm gonna do is to power down both of my base lights. So the one on the left, which shoots through the screen, and the one behind me that is filling in the shadows, and take another test shot and see how much that changed. Okay, so it's definitely getting closer. I like what it looks like, but I still want it to be a little more pronounced with the shadows. So I'm going to take down the power a little more, make it even moodier, see how far I can push it. Ooh, I love that. Okay, so I love the base layer of light, but I want to make my highlights and shadows a little more contrasty with the texture. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to add a little more light to the light modifier that is creating the texture on my image. Okay, we can do a little more here. And I'll keep adding power until I'm happy with the shadow and the light play on the image. And I think it's kind of there. I'm gonna try and see what happens if I fill in my general shadows a little more with the light behind me, because I feel like this side of the bottle is just a little darker and this side of my hand balm is just a little bit on the darker side. So I've added a little power to fill that shadows in, and that looks much better. So another thing I want to correct is this shadow behind the clay that I've placed here. I don't mind it being there, but I don't want it to be so big on the right-hand side. So to correct that, all I need to do is move my light a little bit more behind me so that shadow moves a little bit further behind the clay. Yeah, that's better. I wonder if I should move it a little bit more. I also have to watch this shadow, what's happening with this guy here. I'm wondering if I can lower this light a little bit and move it a little further straight towards the product. And then just tilt it up just a touch. If it changes. I kind of like the previous one a little better because now my shadows moved too, and I preferred the previous image. Okay, so I already know this is not the disc that I'm gonna use. I wanna try one of those that have the little leaves on it. So I'm going to exchange my Gobo disc and we can see how that modifies the image and find the perfect one that I really wanted originally for this look. Oh, that is so pretty. Okay, I definitely have to move it so that it falls to where I want it to be. I'm going to pull out as further as I can. By the way, the lens of this optical spot is interchangeable, which means that if you have a lens with a smaller focus range and it's an EF lens, you can place it on the light modifier and you can spread the texture around on a wider surface. Yeah, I like this. I still have to tweak the shadows and the lights. I feel like the hand balm on the left and this little eye cream is just a tad bit darker, so I have to find an area where I have more light coming through. Maybe that. And this is something you're gonna play with a little bit to really find where the lights and the shadows fall, but it's really fun. Ooh, I love that. And it's really creative. So this was the second disc that I tried, and then let's try a third one, which looks like palm leaves. So I'm going to just quickly exchange it. One thing, guys, these are super, super sharp, and you should be very careful when you're exchanging them. I am not very careful, and it keeps getting into my skin on my hands, but try to be safe when using these. Don't cut yourselves. Okay, so the palm leaves are interesting. They are much bigger, obviously, than what I was using before. So it's going to be exciting to see what this gives us. Ooh, super cool. I know I said that for the previous two as well, but I really, really genuinely like this idea and the look, and I can move it around a little bit just to create a different image, and then we can compare all of them, the previous ones, and see which one is the best. Okay. Yes. So I think you kind of get the overall idea. Now I'm going to keep playing with it because I want to make sure that I really nail the look that I wanted to, but this is the basic idea. What I also want to do is to create a few more setups and play around with it a little bit and show you the final results. But just so that you can see a comparison, what I'm gonna do now is pull up the tree image, one of them, one of the leaves, let's do two, and the palm leaves. So you can see how different they are, yet the basic concept is the same. We get the shadows, we get the texture, and we get the moodiness. So I'm going to keep playing with them. There's one more thing I want to actually show you before I do that. You can further tweak the look of this image if you use colored gels. So just like with every other light modifier, you can use gels to color your lights. So let's say I want to make this look really, really warm. All I need to do is to basically place a orange gel in front of that light and color the light and the shadows a little bit. So I'm gonna pop it on super quick. I have a gel from Leaf Filters. The Lindsay Adler Optical Spot comes with gels. I'm going to show you what they look like. And they are pre-cut, so super convenient to use. See this tiny little gel that you can just pop into this frame and put it in front of the lens. But my problem with this one is it is really, really orange. So I know that this is going to take my image to a very, very warm direction, too much to my taste. So I just popped out one of my Leaf Filters gels, which is 206. And if you compare them, this is much, much more subtle orange. It's just going to give that touch of warmth that I'm looking for. And honestly, I'm not even gonna cut it. I'm just gonna tape it in front of it and that's it. As long as it covers all of the white light, which in this case is this much, as long as it covers it, it's gonna be fine. I don't need to cut it. This is gonna be a very sloppy application. If you want to be more precise with this, please do so. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it's gonna work like this too. I'm a professional. So if I toggle between the previous image and this one that I just created, you can see how much warmer the light became. And it actually looks like it's the afternoon sun in my room. So this is a very subtle change, but it gives a very beautiful effect. Now, another thing you can see is that my shadows and my lights got a little bit like blurred into each other a little more. So what I'm gonna do is to just add a little bit of power onto that light where I have my gel and kind of gain back that contrast that I previously had, and there it is. So this was before and this is now with the added light, but keeping the warmth that the gel brings in. So now that I have my lights and my shadows and my warmth and everything locked in, I'm going to change up my setup a little bit. I'm going to just like move around the products and use different props and create a few more of these moody images to create a collection. So once I'm done with that, I'll show you guys the final images. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, subscribe. There's more content like this coming out. Leave questions in the comments if you have any, or if you try the technique, I would love to hear about that too. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.